You can still hear me, right? I'll continue. You can still hear me okay?
Yes, I can still hear you okay. So I'm going to go onto my phone here to see. Oh, yep, we're live in there. So that's what I was saying before, is like it catches you off guard when you do it this way. But when I was forewarning you, but see, this is where you practice this kind of stuff in a safe group place first.
Yeah.
So I have my workshop that I'm going to teach next week called Craft Your Invitation. So it's basically a copywriting class. And I have a small group of students, and they have their own little, there's like 8 people in one little Facebook group. And the deal is, it's like, okay, guys, you get to practice in there and go live and do it all wrong and be okay, because we all love each other and we're here to support each other. So it's kind of how I see this vendors group. Like, we're gonna muddle through this, and we might totally look funny, but we gotta practice. It's like it's first time.
We're on an adventure together.
Yes, we are. And it's kind of like one of those adventures where do you remember those storybooks you used to read as a kid where you could choose your own adventure?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's us, right?
Yeah, that's us. Like there's always these freaking roadblocks right here that it's like, oh, I'm stuck, I can't do this. But it's like, oh, what should I choose next? I'm going to go this way. And then you get down to the story and you're like, yeah, I don't like this story. I'm coming back here. It's like, I'm going to go this way on the story. It's like, yes, this is definitely choose your own adventure. So I'm super excited that Linda, you have some brilliant stuff just as a teacher and an educator around emotions and managing your chemical soup, like, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Which is where we're at. Like I told my husband yesterday, I said, I need some oxytocin. And he's like, what's that? And I'm like, just hold me tight for a little bit, okay? Like, I'm managing my chemical soup. I've got, like, we are a chemical soup. So one, you're brilliant at that, but
thank you.
And you've taken your business from a lot of in-person to online. Yes. And so how important this pivot is for people right now. Like, eventually we'll get back to the place where we're all doing events in person, but there's this pause hit on life right now in in-person events. So we can either hit pause and climb in bed under the covers and pretend it doesn't exist and come out 2 months later and go, where are all my customers? Or we can choose to take advantage of this time to educate ourselves on some new skills, connect and collaborate with people who know more than us, like Linda, and create something fun and awesome along the way, stay visible in our business.
Yes.
And then when things get settled, we will still have some customers because they will still know that we're around.
Yes.
So there was my long little pitch intro.
That's perfect. So I'll just go ahead and jump in then. And so for people that don't know me, I am the creator of the Inspired Evolution Project. And so today what I'm going to talk to you about is business transitioning, particularly from an in-person market to an online market. So to begin, I'm just going to share a little bit about my journey, like what I went through in the work I did. So early on, 30 years ago, I began with work as a prayer counselor and a shaman. And I was doing all the business I could from my circle and from my current circle of influence, my circle of influence at that point, which wasn't significant. I was in a small group of people that were minority in the community. So I still had my full-time job to pay my bills. And then as I progressed, I was taught to use an established name to gain credibility. So I became a practitioner of a religious organization to do a larger circle. Doing my passion was still part-time, and it's difficult to express individuality from those boxes of expectation. So I had to start asking myself, how do I make being me my full-time job. So when I'm a person who lives in service to humanity, when I'm a person that feels I have a gift to share, whether that gift is as a healer or a light worker or as a muse, which is what I do, or if you're selling crystals or offering services, however we're doing that, there's a point where we ask ourselves, how do I do that? And have it be something that's not this struggling, starving experience of life, but how do I make it the successful, booming experience it should be? Because self-expression should always make us more successful than anything else. So 4 years ago, I quit my job and I grew my community on Meetup. I stepped out of the box of the community I existed in, and I stepped out into the world as a whole, which was huge at the time. And I've grown to around 4,000 or 5,000 followers overall over the last 4 years. And I was making enough to get by. I've personally found that around the 2,000 follower mark, you start to make a decent enough income that you don't have to have another job. So, but what I started to notice is people would not be available for those specific times, or the way people could come to the groups was often people ask me, can you do it on a different day? Can you offer something on this day? And trying to facilitate everyone was very difficult. So in fall of last year, I took my first step to expanding to a more online presence. Now, for me, what I began to do is start recording classes. So I was already teaching these. I was repeating myself every week for 4 years. I was just saying the same things over again every 3 or 4 nights a week, but it had grown my business. It was a great sales channel for my business. But now, by taking it online, by just recording myself during one of my groups that I was already running, during something I was already doing, I was now beginning to build passive income. And passive income becomes the huge online resource that's not available to us in one-on-one meetings. This is where I have a one-on-one experience with a customer that I can now translate and utilize to be a one-on-one experience with multiple people online. I just expand my business. So Meetup gave me regional. I was outside of my small community of where I was a practitioner. Now I was regional and I could speak to anybody in the community, which grew my business. But now the concept of passive income put me worldwide. The minute you go on the internet, we become global. That can be scary. That can feel scary. I remember the first book I published, the minute I hit publish, because I self-published it, I was terrified to hit that publish button, because all of a sudden everyone was going to see me, and not within the confines of a space where I could explain who I was and what I was doing. So one of the things I was learning to do was to stop explaining myself, stop justifying my existence. I'm expressing my soul here, and I'm doing a soulful thing, and I'm living in service to others, and I don't ever need to justify or explain that. And so it can be a big deal to step out. And so what I want to talk about today is how we can step out so we can continue to make money passively, because even when we get through this virus and are in the world doing things the way we usually do them, this will still make passive income. What we do over the next 6 months can still be a new income source for us. And we're at home anyway. What else are we doing, right? And so with a lot of my personal clients, I'm saying that. I said, what are you going to build? How are you going to evolve over the course of this social distancing so that when it's over, you come out a more powerful person, right? So to do that, that's what I want to get into. So I took my big step at the beginning of the year already. For me, it's not as much about, I'm no expert in it. Like I said, I've only been doing it since the fall. But I did learn the steps what the steps I want to share today are about is about how do I take what I'm already doing it, translate it to an online presence without having to create new content, without having to do something new. How do I do what I'm already doing? So I began my first live courses at the beginning of the year. I'm talking January, only a few months ago. My participation doubled with my very first course. So how many people I had showing up at meetups doubled with the, more than doubled actually, with the very first time I went online, and participation continues to grow every single week. And so I'm doing the same thing I always did. I kind of was prepared for this when it happened because I was already transitioning to online. But what I'm doing now is continuing to grow faster than it ever did in person, faster than those 4 years of growing a list of 4,000 or 5,000 contacts. But I'm doing it now. I'm doing the same thing, but I'm doing it in a way that people can feel like they're participating in person on video. The other advantage of it is it remains there so that they can watch it later. They can, it's not bound to a time. So I can do, like I do live brain hacks on Wednesdays now. I just moved them from Mondays, but I do these live.
I have a,
Yeah.
So here's the cool thing that you said that now I just want to reiterate. You said
Yeah.
that you're doing them just interactive with your people, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Which is totally what I teach, and how I run my classes is they are all interactive. It's not just me talking to the other person and them watching this talking head video. It's all about the interaction and the engagement. And that is the big key. Like, there's a difference between just making a video and putting it online and selling the package to somebody come to their thing and then you go listen. There's a difference between coming to a live, interactive, conversational thing where, hey, I can raise my hand and ask a question and get some engagement from you. Is that right? So is that how you're doing that?
Yeah, and actually one of the other things I'm doing is the fact that, okay, so I have YouTube Live where people can type in questions and interact, which when I'm out in the massive public, I'm not inviting strangers into a room where people are doing personal work that are more engaged. So where I had the one-on-one meetups, I could control who's in the room and not. And I can do that in an interactive chat, but I have the opportunity for me where I'm doing both. So I'll do YouTube where people can interact by chat, by asking questions, and that keeps the video. And so the nice thing about that is the video can stay, but people aren't being recorded. The live chat disappears. And so a person a week from now that couldn't make the event can still watch it. But then I have other events that I do in Zoom where people can get together and have a discussion and see each other and connect with each other as much as me, and I don't record those. And so they can feel that their anonymity is protected at the same time.
Right. So you do a blend of public events that people can watch at any time, and then some of them that are private and personal. And I do the same thing. Like, it was a year ago that I started saying to myself, okay, I don't want to drive in my car to go see people anymore. Like, partly because in my last business, there was a time in my life, I put 30,000 miles a year on my car.
Yeah.
And it was too much. I was like really done. So now here I am in this new industry, and the way things are, I was like, I'm building everything online. So all of my interactions with coaching clients all happen right here. And if they're private and personal, I record them for that client. And then I put them in their individual private folder with their individual private homework, and they get their own little thing so they can have the audio and the chat and the video. And when we do it on Zoom, so they get all of that. Now, Linda, you're like way more tech savvy than I am. And I'm super excited that you've jumped forward to help, because I'm not as good at YouTube. So I have a lot to learn from you about editing videos and all of that stuff. So you're huge. Thank you so much for jumping forward and helping educate everybody too.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And YouTube is actually now the leader in online marketing over Facebook. Yes. So Facebook has this big lead over everyone else, but YouTube has a higher lead. And a lot of people don't know how to best use it, right? And so being able to be engaged in something as it's happening, people love that. But also the nice thing about YouTube is if you get enough followers, if you already have a base and you get enough subscribers and enough watch hours, you monetize. And and YouTube sends you a check, right? Which is awesome,
Which
right?
is cool.
It's just
Like,
all these new income streams.
I've got my channel set up for that. And that was where I talked to a big time YouTuber locally, probably a year and a half ago. And he taught a class, and I got started on all of this. And so I've been on momentum going that direction. So I have a lot that I can teach people, but then having you help is even more.
Yeah.
So
And I'm going to give you a
huge.
good resource today. I'm going to give you a good resource today.
Okay,
One that
cool.
I love anyway.
Yay.
Yeah. So, and the goal of this really is to keep doing what you're already doing, just to do it in front of a camera, right? Which can be intimidating for people at first, sitting in front of the camera. But so this is something we talked about, and this is going to be a huge advantage to being part of this expo, is the fact that there are going to be recordings of, whether they're interviews or recordings. Somebody is going to help all the vendors put recordings together to be part of the expo. And this is going to already give you something to use for marketing your business. So whether it ends up being a video you put online, because videos sell better than text, right? It goes text, picture, video. Video is the top seller, the majority of people that translate business, because you can share an emotion and share an experience with people in a video. So as we record these videos, it's already going to give you that leg up to point in this new direction of, not saying change your business, but let's add another resource. Let's take advantage of this, what's happening, to evolve ourselves and to get a new revenue stream for our businesses that will actually produce more, because now it's not just people having that day free and walking into an expo center, but it's people online. I mean, the world just became available, right? But the important thing to the transition through this is to stay with what you know, right? Don't try to recreate yourself. The first, and that's one of the first things I've learned from the mentors that I have, is to do what you already know how to do. So for example, if you're selling jewelry at the expo, you could share videos on making the jewelry. You could, you'll be able to explain what it means to you, and think of those one-on-one conversations. So you're thinking about those one-on-one conversations you're trying to have in a booth. Well, now you're having that one-on-one conversation the way you want it, and then you're able to put that out into the world. And as we go, we get more comfortable.
And in front of thousands of people, like way more, 100,000 people, because we have Expansion Network Television who's going to help us. And anyway, we have the potential to reach more people. We have the potential to learn some new skills and hone what we have. And yeah. And then
hold on to the resource for later, because after you've done this, after you've spoken to Expansion, or after you've created your however, so we're still working out the details of how the content will be presented, but as your content's presented at the expo, you'll have a video already made.
Yes.
That lends itself to that already professional thing, because that is one of the easiest ways to break into video, is to dialogue with someone else, or to have someone else's input there. To do it just on your own is the most intimidating.
It is. That's why I'm not going to leave anybody hanging like that. Like, that's why tomorrow Zoe is going to be talking. He's got he's really good on video and good with editing stuff, so he's jumped in to help too. So people have our support, and having a conversational co-host thing, that's a little easier than, doing it all by yourself.
Right, trying to just launch off and what do I say and how do I do it. Having someone prompt you with questions makes it a ton easier to get past those roadblocks of fear, right? So part of using what you already have, so for me, for example, so I teach people how to control the neurotransmitters in their brain. And I do this to help them relieve stress and illness and overall consciousness, right? Because all of that's byproduct. So for me, I was already doing brain hack videos, right, on free brain hacks on YouTube to expand that audience. But instead, one of the other things that's really powerful here is the opportunity. So instead of doing general brain hacks on conditions right now, I'm helping people with the current condition. So with additional videos and with the videos I already have, I'm saying, okay, let's build a stronger immune system. Because this is a real opportunity to step into doing something big with this moment. And so what I want to do is just go through, I have 4 or 5 steps of how to just transition. Like literally, you could do the transition this week and start doing this, even to step up and start to prepare for the expo. So step 1 is that deciding, what do I have to give, right? I'm going to decide what of mine can I give in videos? And I'm going to start brainstorming how to present that. Like I said, if you're a jewelry maker, maybe videotaping yourself making something, even if it's just your hands making something. Or if you're doing classes, do a quick video with some quick tips that are easy that you can put on YouTube or something like that. Just something, and if you're not ready, if you're intimidated by that, again, the expo will give you a video, right? You'll have a video at the end of it that you can use for marketing from this point forward, right? So the second thing you want to do is pick your platform. It's really good idea to focus on one platform at a time. I'm currently working three major platforms. I've been in Meetup, so I'm still sustaining Meetup, but I'm in that transition that all of us in Meetup are having, because Meetup is about one-on-one connection. And so we're all experiencing this. How do I transform that? But my major platforms now are YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So I'm going to approach those mostly in transitioning. So I do want to give you some resources. So you're going to want this, Tina. First of all, for streaming live videos, that has a bunch that gives you flexibility where you can create really cool videos with transitions and PowerPoints behind you and all of that great stuff. OBS Studios, that's O like October, B like Bravo, S like Sam. I can't remember the S one, but anyway. So OBS Studios is a free software. What they do is work off contribution basis. So I really love working with them anyway, because they're this large company that's giving you high quality equipment. It can be complicated, so I'm willing to do some tutorials, but I'm going to give you another resource that'll help you with those tutorials. But OBS, because sometimes screen capture, if you're doing, if you want to capture your website or something, can be a little tricky. But there are a lot of platforms out there to help. Creator Fundamentals on YouTube is one of my mentors. I can't remember his name. I just know it's Creator Fundamentals. And he does all these YouTube videos, how to use OBS Studios, how to create a thumbnail, he has almost 400 videos that teach you how to be a YouTuber. And like I said, I'm pretty new. I just switched over and I don't have that huge base in YouTube yet, but this is what I found. Even though I don't have a lot of subscribers yet, even though like my growth on Facebook and all of that isn't near as much as my online store activity. And this is where it comes down to. I'm not trying to build an audience of 10,000 people on YouTube or on Facebook. What I'm doing is I'm building clicks in my store. So I'm directing everyone to my store. So what this video gives us a chance to do is become friends with the people out there, right? So if you imagine someone is at your booth, what are you going to say to them? What do you want to translate? You can start translating that to a video camera on YouTube, and it takes a little practice. A lot of people give you tips, like put a face up next to your camera so you look at your camera and not at your screen. I use a teleprompter. All my notes are on a teleprompter. People are like, how do you remember all that? And I'm like, oh, I don't. I use a teleprompter. Cool Tools is the app name of the teleprompter I use. It has a lot of different tools in it, but I mostly use the teleprompter. So one of the things I'm going to recommend is pick your platform. Share what you have to share, but also sprinkle in personal experiences. People want to become your friend. Relationships are what sell now more than anything. A person has to feel like they know you a little and have a connection with you that's special and unique. So part of that transitioning to online is share yourself, share personal experiences and stuff like that as you go, because then people feel like they're connected to you. So after you've picked your platform, step 3 is that part about going back to doing what you're already doing. What you would have done in a booth at the expo, what would you have shared, what promotions would you have had? One of the most successful marketing campaigns I've done was an online raffle. It was great. It was so much fun. And it was, everyone was engaged, and it was just $1 a ticket that I did through my store, and people became really involved in it. And so you can connect something like that. In fact, I'm planning on doing another raffle that connects with the expo, is that my people can get raffle tickets based on visiting the expo. So just the people that visit my booth, and I can do this virtually still, right? So people that visit my booth, that connect, they can get a raffle ticket just for visiting now, you know, and it builds that we did an event together, right?
Yeah, we are totally still going to play games. Like Shane and Kathy Hughes have been playing bingo games over Zoom. So
yeah,
we're not just going to have a whole bunch of videos with talking heads. Like I'm talking to people from around the US to research what we're going to do and what works, but we're going to play games like scavenger hunt games. And I like your idea, the raffle ticket, because we're going to have giveaways. I have some super cool giveaways already. Like I have a couples massage, and then I also have an escape room getaway. So those are the 2 that I have that have been donated. But we have time to get some more, or there's people in the community that might like to donate something. So that's totally good. But games are going to be still a part of this, definitely.
yeah, cool. Yeah, and that's the thing, is it becomes an event that everybody gets to engage in, and particularly on their schedule, right? And so it opens up the door for how people participate. And the one thing I do say is that as you start to get your content together, start with short videos or record something long and chop it up. There is an app that I use, I'm going to open it real quick, called Simple Video Trim and Merge. That's also free. It will also convert all your video to different formats for different platforms. It's not fine-tuned. So when you're editing it, your video and chopping videos together, it's not fine-tuned. But the thing is you can't chop videos together in YouTube. You have to load them to YouTube pre-chopped. YouTube has a great video editor where you can go and connect, you know, fine-tune, break off at the end of this exact word and start here. But it does allow you to make a compilation that then you can upload to YouTube, do the fine editing on, and post. And you can edit your live videos on YouTube too. So that's a good thing to know. If you stumble or something, you can just go take out a chunk. YouTube does that. So start with that. Again, that's some editing software. There are a lot of free editing softwares out there. I just found that one as a simple free one that I could merge videos with. And then also it becomes easy to share across multiple platforms. So with YouTube, I can just copy a URL and share it on Facebook, or, you know, put a note on Instagram. I also have a link to my YouTube channel on my Facebook. And you can embed them in your website, so people don't leave your website when they click on the video, right? They're still in your website. So that's really good. And then, you know, when you're comfortable, when you're more comfortable, you can start live events. Live events do work really well across any platform. I do live on YouTube, and mostly, I mean, I used to do live on Facebook. I started my first live events on Facebook back in the fall, but Facebook doesn't monetize, right? I'm looking at another revenue stream, and I can put the video on Facebook. Plus, the other thing about YouTube is it's available to everybody. If you have internet, you can get on YouTube, right? And so people can go to the library and get on YouTube. They don't even need to have a computer or internet at home. So it's accessible, which is what my big thing is I want my stuff accessible to everyone. So the next step in this, I suggest, is translate your circle of influence. Now, this is one of the things I've learned from Creator Fundamentals, which is put out horrible videos at first. Everybody does. If you look at the biggest YouTubers on the planet and look at their early videos, they're horrible, right? Because it's learning. Now, he gives this great piece of advice that is amazing. And that is, get the content out and then watch your video. Follow someone like him. His videos are amazing for any development, even if you're not going to be a YouTuber, just business development. But he says, just watch the video and then pick one thing you want to improve for the next video. So instead of trying to do it all at once and trying to be perfect on the first out, just go ahead and record it and then watch it and say, okay, what one thing would I improve? And do that on your second video. Right? So I do this thing where a process I do with people, which is reverse goal setting. So this is for setting giant goals. So this is life purpose goals. I'm gonna go finally do that big thing I never imagined I could do. And so I do a special visioning goal setting process to help people do that. And at the end of it, I always ask the question, what one thing can I do today? Because my eye is never on the goal with the work I do. It's always on, where am I today? How do I bring what I think is the future into my moment? And so asking yourself, what one thing can I do today toward transitioning to online? Just one little thing. Can I just record myself and then watch it back? And maybe I'll hate it, but I can delete it. I deleted most of my early videos. Right now, I just mess up all the time and I don't even care. I'm just kind of used to it, right? Because I'm bringing myself, my personal experience online, and I don't always speak flawlessly in person. So I'm okay with that online as well.
I mean, nobody's perfect. We all screw up, but that's what makes us human. It's like the moment you think that you have to have things perfect, perfectionitis, you get stuck and frozen. I've been stuck in perfectionitis a lot different times. And
being an author, one of the things I've learned as a writer is the fact that, so there's this thing about the Superman theory in writing. Superman is the least liked superhero of all the superheroes. And the reason why is because he's flawless. He's perfect. Superheroes like Batman and Spider-Man have flaws. And so people relate to people who don't come across as perfect, right? If we're trying to be something we're not, we actually distance the crowd. So being ourselves and being human and letting it be a journey. One of the things I do is make sure that the people who are watching my videos share that journey with me. I just say, let's all stumble together. Teach me, give me feedback. What can I do better? How can we make this together? Because building that relationship is the most important part, right? And so initially, if you're a person, if I'm a perfectionist and somebody says to me, don't be perfect, I can't do that. My brain doesn't work that way, not unless I fix the chemistry, right? But the one thing is start practicing at least. Do one thing a day, even if it's just, I'm going to record myself every day for a week. And I'm just going to keep the video I think is best. And then I'm going to look at that video and say, what one thing can I improve? And then I'm going to improve that one thing. Right?
I like that. Record myself every day. And then what'd you say? Record myself every day and then look back and go, what is the one thing I can improve on with that?
Yeah. So pick the one you like the best and say, what's one way I can make this better? So for me, part of it is, so if I just free form talk, I do a lot of ums and so's. And I've had people like, you need to clean up your videos. I'm like, whatever, that's just what I do. But if I try to read a script, I'm not authentic. So I use bullet points on a teleprompter, right? Because I've learned that. So I've done both scripted and free form videos on YouTube. And so now I've realized, oh, this is what works for me. Having the teleprompter with bullet points so I can stay on track, so I don't have to say a lot, but I can still talk, I can still speak authentically. right? I found my balance, but I only found my balance by recording the videos and observing myself. And that was really the hardest part. My hardest part wasn't putting in public. My hardest part was seeing me on video, right?
Oh.
Seeing myself on video was so hard in the beginning because I hated it. I hated it. And nothing was going to make that better except getting practice. And the only reason I hated it because I was so nervous. I was so nervous in the beginning, right?
So I'm just kind of thinking of, would you tell us just a short little bit about your journey? Because your story, Linda, and what, your background stories, your humanness is like amazing. Can you share
Oh,
just,
so like all the way back? So not just my journey in marketing. Sure.
yeah, just a quick little journey of, because where you're at today is not where you were at like years ago. I mean,
Or even, yeah, like even last year, right?
right, but yeah,
Right.
no, more than just a marketing story, but your personal journey.
Right. Yeah, so I started out when I began my journey, I had severe PTSD and addiction. So I came out of an extremely abusive environment and I was very dysfunctional. I was on MAOIs initially and I went into intensive therapy, which saved my life. It was brilliant what that moment created for me going on medication initially. But I was told you'll suffer this condition your whole life. And addicted people with addiction and PTSD are still told this, right? You can learn coping mechanisms, but it's an affliction you'll have your whole life. And when they said that to me, something in my soul spoke and said, that's not true. And so I started researching, and everything I found when I researched validated what they said because everything in the medical community that lent itself to that. So I studied, and I studied from 5 different angles. I studied from I initially started with psychology because I was in 10 years of intensive therapy and I tried to find windows in psychology and I picked up a couple of key components from that. So my brain is divergent. So I think in puzzle pieces that eventually kind of link together. And so I gained a couple of the puzzle pieces from psychology. And then I studied education. Education was a big component in what I do because education teaches us we can control brain function. And so we're told that every other medical science tells us we can't control the brain function. And this is why people are trying to control their thoughts and feelings because they're not, because which is impossible because it's a byproduct of brain function. Like I said, the perfectionist, you can't look at a perfectionist and say don't be a perfectionist because their brain won't. Their brain is being a perfectionist as a survival mechanism. You need to alter the survival mechanism, which is a brain function. That's an unconscious action that you can't control with the conscious mind. So but education taught me about how you can control what part of your brain you're in. And then my next study was in pharmacology, actually. Pharmacology knows so much about the brain. Neurology and pharmacology are very closely knit because most of what medical science knows about controlling the brain has to do with the neurotransmitters, and pharmacology knows how to control those. So I did that. I've been studying neuroscience under a neuroscientist for about I don't know, about a half a year now. That's been really profoundly impactful. Also, I studied neuroscience under some neuroscientists online and stuff before that. And so that's helped me articulate that I'm talking about the insular or the striatum or the prefrontal cortex and talking about more than the chemical. Everything's so complex with the brain. It's so multifaceted. It just gave me a way to articulate things more clearly. And then also studying nature and the spiritual side of things, having been a practitioner, having been a shaman before. What I wanted to do was understand miraculous healing. Why do some people miraculously heal and others not? Both might pray or do go see a Reiki master, but not everybody heals from that. And I wanted to know why. Not everybody did. And so about 7 years ago, I think it is now, I was still a practitioner at the time. All of those pieces from those 5 different things I was studying at the time clicked together. And I realized this is a cure. This is a cure for my PTSD. and the addiction that accompanied it. And I wasn't an active addict anymore at that time. I had been in recovery for about 23 years. And so I was not, but I still suffered addictive tendencies, right? So I was kind of proving science right. And then those pieces clicked together and I said, wow, I think this is a cure. And so over the next year, I applied it. I started applying the principles of what I figured out. And within the year, I was cured of PTSD. I don't have that anymore. I don't have any addictive tendencies. And then I've continued the practices. I've continued the study under the neuroscientist I've talked about. And throughout the course of continuing my study, have been able to refine the brain function and know what it is so that I can translate it to people. So what I do is I end up helping people from, they can be in deep addiction, PTSD. What I always say is imagine a person that's returned from combat, like a veteran with severe PTSD and addiction, somebody that can't work, that might be homeless. It's about taking them in phase 1 from that to the Dalai Lama in phase 5. That different of an experience of life, because brain function is driving that experience.
And that is super amazing. And that is
isn't
super
it?
cool. Like
I love what I do.
I'm a brain science person and I have studied, so I grew up in an addictive environment and an abusive environment and have like family members that have been homeless and in addiction or, you know, and struggled their entire life. And people ask me, what have, you know, why are you so, you know, how have you done what you've done? It's like with a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of education of myself through books and whatever, and a lot of personal work. But it is possible to go from homeless, addicted person to successful business entrepreneur like you are, Linda.
Yeah.
You have proven that the journey from PTSD, you don't have to live in the, you know, in the negativity of that. You don't have to live with that. This is why I do the Empower You Expo, because and the 3 words are inspire, awaken, transform, because we want to inspire people to the possibility that they don't have to live in suffering any longer, awaken them to the truth that they have the power and they have the tools inside of them. They just have to learn the tools to manage it, and then awaken, transform their lives.
Transform.
They get to totally transform their lives. So it's because of my life experience and amazing practitioners like you, Linda, that we want to share with the world, because the world needs us more than ever right now.
Right.
They need our healing abilities. And so for us to duck and cover and hide our little heads under the blankets and say, when is it going to be over? No.
Right. No. And that's what I'm into a lot right now, is that transformation about how we approach this time, how we take this, because like for me, for example, I have a little bit I'm going to talk about that transformation and a way to easily become more confident in what you sell, which is going to be just a quick note that can completely flip your brain quickly. But like I'm going through this experience with the earthquakes and with the virus, fascinated and curious and creative and leaning into it to say, what can I make in the world that's better from it? I'm having no fear response because what I teach people to do is shrink that amygdala and then build the striatum and increase the insula. And then that way our response to threat transforms. We're not in threat anymore. Now we're innovative. So when we're under threat of death, like a virus, like an earthquake, we become innovative and say, okay, what can I do? And our creative brain kicks in, right? That intuition that we all have, but it's not this fleeting, rare thing. It's just our day-to-day way of life to move intuitively. And that's really what this is about, is if I'm driving down the road and there's construction or roadblocks or accidents or anything like that, I need to be able to move intuitively and say, okay, I'm going to take this turn or go on this detour. This is a detour. for all of us, right? We're in the middle of a detour. And so we're going to end up back on the road, but taking this detour, what we do, like you said, if we duck and cover, we're going to come out on the other side of the detour less than we were when we went in. Our goal should be to come out more than we were when we went in, right? That detour should be a scenic route, not destruction, because we don't know for sure how long this will last. And so to be able to say, I'm going to grab every minute of it and make myself something more, then when I go outside, I can hit the ground running. I can already be what I'm creating is already half created. And then I can go back to my traditional methods, right? And I'm going to have a stronger list. I'm going to have a stronger foundation. I'm going to have a larger base to my business, which is important to constantly be creating new revenue streams, right? That's important in business. And online is critical now more than ever, right? That's just the market.
It is. So Linda, if you want to tell people, if you want to post in the comments your YouTube link or anything else, you're more than welcome to do that so people can connect with you personally, or your meetup. Like, are you still actually on Meetup? What's happening?
I am.
What's up? It's like they've all been virtual. Like, I've noticed all the calendars around Utah, because I've promoted this event across the state, right? And right now everybody's switching, like everybody across the board, everything's online for all the month of April. So they've
even YouTube, or not YouTube, even Meetup has a little button you can click to say this is an online event, this is a virtual event. Yeah, that's a brand new button they just created, because they want to promote people doing virtual and not in-person meetups.
That's the thing, is right now when you are virtual, you're getting promoted more. Like it's more that's the marketing piece behind it. That's the business piece behind. There's like there's reasons for taking the money we've already spent on video creation and website design, and you know, all that money's been spent already on admins and all that. Like, let's keep the momentum going and flip it to because the same thing's happening on, I sell the tickets on Eventbrite. So the same things happened with Eventbrite. There's now a button or whatever they said to switch it to an online event, because they're encouraging us to do that. And so they are also boosting our marketing.
Right, because you can spend the next bit of time, however long it is, entertaining yourself, or you can spend the time creating something spectacular.
Exactly. Or you can just go and hide and pretend that this doesn't exist, and we'll wait until later, and that's fine, but we're going to miss out on some promotional opportunities that are available for us right now.
Well, and a window where you have this whole community of support that will help you do the transition, right? That sets you up to do a transition you need to, because even if people don't have a website, there are people here that can give some tips on how to make your own easy website. I mean, there are templates. So you see beautiful websites, you can go pick a template and just fill in the data and your website's beautiful.
And that's a part of what I teach, Linda. I teach all of that business strategy stuff. And I do that all day long right here over Zoom, client after client, whether they're in a group setting or in an individual setting. It's like I told my client yesterday, I'm like, cool, she happens to be in an industry that got shut down, and I said, bonus, guess what you're going to do this week? You're going to build your website, and I'm going to teach you how, and we're going to do it together. Like, you can have me and my team build your website for you if you just want to pay for that, but you've got time. I always tell people, like, you have to know enough. You don't have to do it all yourself. But as an owner, you need to educate yourself on what all the language is, and you need to be able to know how to at least open the keys to your front door and get in there and move the furniture around.
Right.
Like,
that's what I do. My web developer does them. My website's beautiful because of my web developer. So huge shout out to Jake Naylor. He's saved my life. But I do. I'm in the back end of my website all the time, adding content, posting blogs, things like that.
Right. So that's what I teach people, is like, there's a couple different ways to go. You can do it all yourself, and I can teach you how. You can learn the language, and then educate yourself and be competent when you hire somebody so that you don't get taken advantage of. Because I've seen
Yes.
people taken advantage of when you are uneducated about what's going on in your business and you just hire somebody to do it. And I have to admit, I've done this multiple times over. I did this like with an assistant. Like, I kind of have a mess with some of my email stuff because I was like, I don't want to do emails. I don't type well. I'm super uber slow. It's like the one I sent out took me like an hour and a half to write one email. Like it's struggle's real. So I'd hired this person to like do all the things. For 2 years, I've been paying this person, and for 2 years, it wasn't working right. and
Yeah.
and I didn't know that until I start digging. There's like too many mistakes and the mistakes and mistakes. And so I start digging into things and I'm like, this isn't working, this isn't working, and this isn't working. So I had to let the person go and I've had to figure it out. Like, I just have to figure it out. But now I'm
We'll
educated.
have to collaborate because you have some things that I need.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm a writer by trade. So we're going to have to collaborate on that. And I think that's what this is about. This
Oh,
whole
yeah.
minute is about all of the vendors, all of the sponsors, everyone involved in this expo is having this opportunity to collaborate and create this advance in their business, because we all have time. Even if you're still doing a full-time job and you have to drive to your work, we don't have the social. We can't run to a movie or go sit in a restaurant. So we all have a little bit more time in every day at least. Some people have a lot more time. But even me doing online events, so that's another thing. I was doing meetups and it'd be a 3-hour investment for every meetup because I have the half an hour I'm preparing for the meetup. Then I have the people that come, and then the few are going to want to stay after and talk to me. And then I have the half an hour I'm closing down the meetup, right? And so it was at least a 3-hour time slot to do a 1.5 hour event. Now I hop online, it's a half an hour to an hour. I'm giving the same value and I'm done.
And you're done. And you can go in the kitchen and have dinner, which is exactly why I transitioned my business to all online a year ago, because I don't want the commute, you know?
Yeah.
And, if I want to sit here in yoga pants, that's great. Or if I want to go, hey, I'm going to hit pause for a minute. We're going to go have lunch and then come back. Like, I do my self-compassion workshops online. I do all of them online over Zoom. So I can have people from all over. But anyway, I was going to say something else, like, so tech tips. I have so many tech tips. I'm going to add all of yours, but the one that I use, since I don't like to type, is I recently found is called Otter.ai, and it transcribes audio into words. So I've done a video like this and I've pulled it down. It downloads to my computer and I've got the audio, the video, and I just take the audio and upload it to YouTube. Upload it to Otter.ai and it transcribes it in seconds. Then I have words that I can manipulate or edit or whatever faster. So my customer testimonials, I always interview people over Zoom and record it.
That's great.
And then transcribe their stuff into written word, because sometimes you have to have the words. But anyways, I'm going to teach you guys some of that stuff next week. I'm putting the month of April, at least when we're not doing the expo, I'm going to have some of my group classes for free. So
that's awesome. Yeah, and I'm happy to help with things, to offer
cool
things like this.
All right.
Back on track. I love this. I love that detour we just took. So
yes, I know. I
have
a squirrely brain, so
that's all right. I'm with you there. I will squirrel with you anytime. So the last step 4 that I have, I think I'm on step 4, is expand your circle. Now for me, and this is something about me that's going to differ from some other people. Again, you're going to hear a lot of different feedback from different people, and you're going to find what works for you. I personally don't collect and use email until high participation. So I don't use email addresses until I have people in phase 3 that are more intrinsic. I'm going to, because I'm going to use that for participation updates, information on what's happening. Really, I don't do it to market. For one thing is, In my advanced study groups, I'm capturing email to be able to communicate with the people there. But I found with email is a few things have happened for me. So I'm just going to share the way I do it, because some people do it by gathering email addresses. But email management gives me another thing to do, right? I have to write a newsletter, or I have to type the email, or I have to do that. And a lot of people's email addresses are bogged down. So I get so many people that, like, Meetup uses emails, and so many people are like, well, I didn't see that email from Meetup. And so the extended videos and stuff I was doing for a certain group, they were getting lost. So a couple of things happen. First, people get bogged down. They might just delete all the emails. Their email might be full of spam, but also people seldom share emails. Now, this is one of the most important things to learn about online communication. We are so used to doing marketing one-on-one and connecting with people. Even emails are a one-on-one connection. Even though you may have MailChimp or something and you have this autoresponder and it's only one email you're typing, it's still a one-on-one communication. In social media, people share, and it increases your customer base easily. So in a social platform, my purpose is to drive traffic to my website. Everything I do on my social platform is about getting people back into my website so people can interact with the social media of their choice, right? It's low maintenance. I don't have to type anything extra. Once the content goes on my website, it's available. And if I have somebody that comes a year from now, all of the educational tools that get them caught up with what I do are already on the website, so they can just access them there. So it's very low maintenance. It's easily shareable. This is what we want to use social media for, is to get the shares, because what happens when you get that is your customers become your marketers. Your customers become salespeople for you. And that's where you start to experience huge expansion. And that's why most people on social media focus on volume of people on their site, right? We want real engagement, real opportunities. And so when I go on YouTube with a video and I'm looking at the camera, people connect with me talking to them individually. I acknowledge the people in my chat room when they log on and I'm on YouTube and I'm in a chat. I say, oh, hi, I see so-and-so is here. So they feel that personal connection. But I don't then need to go out and do any more work than I just did. I edit the video and it's there, right? So for me, I've learned to not use emails. I've learned to drive to the website and get shares to help the people that work with me become word of mouth. Advertising is the most powerful advertising, right? So this is one of the things that becomes huge for me, because I only decided that because I dismiss 90% of the emails I get, right? Even if they're from things I like. There are people I love and I love to support that I'm on their mailing list, and I just don't have time. I just delete. I open the stuff that I will give me immediate benefit, because I'm so busy as a startup company. So that's just my take on that. You're going to hear different opinions. That's just mine, and it's what I've been successful with. So my final step that I'm going to recommend is be flexible. Don't fight to keep something that isn't working, which is even this concept of I can only do business in person, or, oh, but I do like to use this format. The most important thing to do while you're doing this is to watch what's happening. Observe your results so that you can see what works and doesn't. For an example, I'm going to give you some of my examples, and you can use these are good little tips that I've learned that work really well for me, because my online presence is so new. I've had my Facebook group for a while, and I've had my Facebook page, my personal page, but I didn't really promote on Facebook a lot. I haven't used Facebook as much as I could have. I was using Meetup. And so where you put your attention, that's the one that's going to grow. That's why I say start by picking one platform, right? I barely paid attention to Facebook, and I think my highest group is maybe 350 followers, where on Meetup, where I put all my attention, I'm at 4,000 or 5,000. So you can see the difference in 4 years of what happened. So, but observe where you're getting the results. I wasn't having people show up at my meetups from Facebook like I was on Meetup. So I put my attention where the results were. And so when I was building groups, Meetup was really important. But I want to share, like, for example, Instagram. I mentioned Instagram is one of the platforms I use. And so I watch carefully what's happening. Because I'm fairly new to Instagram. I still pretty low in followers because I've only been on Instagram for a short period of time, and I've only been using it on a daily basis within the past couple months. But one of the things I'd say is there are a couple components on Instagram that really help. One is use low volume hashtags. Everybody wants to hashtag the 7 million hashtag, but you're competing with famous people with 50 million Instagram followers, and you're at the bottom of that list. But if you pick hashtags between 3 to 10,000, so when you're typing in your hashtag, it'll say how many hashtags have been used. If you stick in the 3 to 5,000 range, I've gotten more new followers from that. So people liking my posts and following me have come from low range hashtags. The second thing is quotes from other people. And this was a thing I was taught, promote myself. And I have a lot of quotes that I use that are my own. But using someone like doing a quote from, so like I did a Bob Marley post. I did a quote from Bob Marley. And so I hashtagged Bob Marley quotes, all those hashtags. And it was my highest, I think, liked image, and it got me like 10 followers, which is a pretty good response to that. So as a brand new Instagram user. So I'll give you those 2 tips about Instagram. So, but the point I'm making is observe what does and doesn't work. So I had someone else that was helping me with that, and they're like, no, you use high hashtags. And I'm like, okay, let's break it apart and not put it all together in one post. Let's do just low and just high. And it consistently, just low got me followers, and high never did. I don't think I've ever, from when I used all high number flat hashtags, I don't think I got a single follower.
Yeah, that's a awesome tip. That is a part. Well, there's 2 components to what you just said that are super important. One is to use lower hashtags, but the other one you said was track what's working, and do A/B testing. Split, like, I'm going to test this over here and see how this works. And then, like, everything we're doing as entrepreneurs at the beginning, especially, or anytime we're doing something new, you're always testing it out. So test it out, track it, see what's working, what's not working.
Right. So, yeah. The other things I'd say is Facebook seems to do better for me with ads. And so when I'm doing a boost or something, and stories, where feed, it seems to be better in Instagram. So just a little side note, but that's mostly the point, is exactly what Tina just said. Pay attention. You're watching for what happens. I'd like to add a little side note. So those are the steps I'd recommend to be able to transition by doing what you're already doing, right? The side note I'd say is, if you're really nervous about this, if you're really nervous about going online, you're going to hear a lot of great speakers this week. Over the next few weeks, you're going to get a lot of great info from Tina. You're going to, there are those of us who are in there with you. It's an adventure we're on together, and we're happy to share what we can. Keep a list. Listen to these videos over and over again. I'm going to tell you this right now. I have over 700 items on my to-do list to expand my business, right? And some of those aren't daily items. They're things that take a week, a month, or whatever. But there was something that dawned on me. If I do one thing from that list a day, even if it's just a partial thing from one of the bigger projects, if I do one thing per day for a year, my business will grow inevitably.
Yes.
Right? As a natural byproduct of the effort. All I have to do is one thing a day toward that. I also, when I do the reverse goal setting, when we do the one thing, it also builds a momentum. People we communicate on a subconscious level more than a conscious level, and people feel your commitment to what you're doing. And so they're more likely to engage because they want to trust you. People are buying a product from you, and when we buy things, we're vulnerable because, like Tina said, we've been taken advantage of, or we've not gotten what we wanted. And so the more confident we are as offering something of value, the better the consumer feels, right? Because most of us in this expo are very heart-centered. We're very much sharing our soul, and we're wanting to do good by people, and people need that. And so being able to do that is, that translates well if we're just willing to be in our process every day and say, I know it's scary, but I don't have to do it all at once. I can just take one little piece of it and do it a little bit of it at a time. But I say, I hope what we're giving you here it helps you at least take one step towards it. If you need help, we're here. A lot of us do, like Tina said, do personal and business coaching if anyone needs it. You know, I have a lot of free, like I will share my website because I have a lot of free classes on my website. It's inspiredevolutionproject.com. I'll share it in the comments. To relieve your stress, to help boost your immune system, help motivate you. Brain hacks on YouTube are there too. These are all free. So they're just there for you, because I know one of the scariest things is money right now. And that's why this is a good opportunity to create new revenue, is to say, okay, I don't have to feel a hit from this. I can actually come out on the other side in a better position. But the biggest piece of advice I have for people is use resources. All coaches have coaches. All successful coaches have coaches. Everyone in business should have someone they're looking up to.
There are so many resources out there. I mean, there's so many. I know all the resources that I've used, all of them that used to be in person, I'm eating them up because they're all moved to online. Like, yeah. And I've had coaches. I've always had coaches. I've been an entrepreneur for 25 years now. And in 2008, when things got bad, I was like, okay, what do I do? I lost like 80% of my business. And it was like, what do I do? I was like, well, either get out or get better. And which one do I choose? Well, I'm going to choose to get better. And I found a coach and a mentor. And then I took action and stayed visible and kept advertising, and actually raised my prices, got to a new customer level. It was like, and took advantage of the whole situation the way it was in the market then, and grew my business when everybody else was not growing their business. And I had other people in the same industry always come to me going, hey, what do you have that's extra? I'm like, give me a minute and I'll find something, because it's like resourcefulness is our biggest tool as entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and it's kind of like what I loved what Allison was talking about yesterday. I'm using this event. I'm listening to, I'll be listening to Zoe tomorrow. This information, it all benefits us no matter where we get. And so in that, I love what you just said, Tina. I always think of it as, there was a point in my business where I stopped saying, can I, will it make it? Will I be able to? And started saying, what does it take?
Yes.
Right? What does it take to make it, rather than will I? Because what do I need to do? And it's a different mindset, right? So, there's all these opportunities here. There's so many free resources, because that was one of my hardest parts when I was an entrepreneur, especially in a transition like this where people are short money. I mean, people have the money to hire a coach. I think that's great. Now's the time to do it. Coaching is really important through this transition.
Yeah.
But if you don't, there's a lot of free resources. The fastest way to build confidence is to not need help, but to give it. Right? And so when we're working with mentors and coaches, they're teaching us how to give it. In my courses, I often reference the tiger and the gazelle, right? The tiger is the thing that threatens us. So the changes to this event may be your tiger. Coronavirus may be your tiger. Earthquakes may be your tiger. But that tiger that we're experiencing right now isn't going anywhere anytime soon. It's going to be at least months until we're back to being able to do what we were doing before. And it's probably going to be longer with the way this looks right now.
There's your bumper sticker, Linda. It's like, because everybody, brains like bumper stickers, just a thing. Brains like bumper stickers. So tame the tiger, and then a little more of a sentence around it. So the way I call it, like I had one of my clients I teach a self-compassion workshop, and I said in my class, I said, calm your inner lizard, because that's what you're doing when you're retraining your brain, is like, we have our lower animal brain, right? And she grabbed onto that, and she made a meme out of it, out of my quote, calm your lizard, calm your inner lizard.
Yeah. Yeah. And right. Yeah. And what I think of is I look at it as like, so you have this tiger, and it's out there. It's the thing that can happen. It's the virus, not knowing if it's going to hit you or someone you love. It may be the earthquake that may do damage. But let the tiger be the thing that launches you. So the other thing I talk about besides tigers is gazelles. So we're all a gazelle. And the truth is our position in the herd is everything for the brain. So how much value you feel and strength you feel internally. So when you're trying to build confidence, if you're the weak gazelle being chased by the tiger, being chased by this virus or the earthquakes, or talking to a camera, you're vulnerable. Right? And you can't make good decisions from that fear space. Fear does not make good decisions. If you're the strong gazelle, you're leading the other gazelles out of danger. That lead gazelle is the one that knows the direction to go, the angles to take, and is never at risk because it's got hundreds of other gazelles behind it that are counting on it. And that can be what we do here. That's what people involved in this expo want to be, is to be that gazelle that's leading people through this virus, through this experience, having that impact. That's why I think like it can't wait. People need us now. This expo is actually beautifully timed in the fact that there's a whole world out there that needs this, and we have an opportunity to present it, right? And maybe for us, that thing we need to be brave enough to do is our first video, or it may be shifting gears, you know, this connection with people in a different way. But the important thing to do is during times like this is to give something that doesn't empty our resources. So for me, like I said, I'm giving away classes, I'm giving discounts. I've given a 50% discount off everything in my store. All my classes, everything, 50% off right now, because people need them. And because they're scared about money. So I'm trying to address both of those, right? So we need to be creative and say, what can I give? The classes are sitting there. They're passive income for me. So I can say, I'll take 50% off, right? I'm still in a place where I'm not 100% sure what's happening next, right? There's this great Arabic proverb that says, if you have much, give your wealth. If you have little, give your heart.
Yeah.
And we're all people that are here to give our heart. Here's this opportunity. And I think a lot of us have waited our whole life to do it, right? A lot of people that fit into the light worker, the healer, the service category are people that say, I have something to give to the world. And the scariest thing in the world is to actually give it, to live up to our own expectation of ourselves. But we have this opportunity to do that and to step into it in a real way, and to end it all with this another source of income. So whatever happens, we are actually building a revenue stream. Like you said you did in 2008, right? When everybody was freaking out and said, I can't, you said, oh no, I'm going to do this and I'm going to make something new. I'm going to take a leap, because these are the times to do that.
Yep,
I think.
definitely. So awesome. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody and try to do I'm going to do an experiment here, which is,
oh, yay.
I'm going to disconnect. So we're live in the Facebook group. And if I click on this little drop down, I might be able to stop live stream, but not hit end record with Linda and I. So I'm going to give it a try. So say
bye
to everybody in Facebook.
Yeah, whatever. I'll put my website out there, whatever we can do, or whatever I can do to help people to the extent I can. And we're all in this together.
We are. Woohoo, it worked.
It worked. Yay.
So yeah, I've stopped. Yeah, but we're still recording. So I'm still recording that. So yeah, I'm happy to share this video with you or whatever well, here I thought I had a plan, but now I got some new things to. So you're
get to move intuitively.
Huh?
You get to move intuitively.
Oh,
I don't think, yeah, right?
Intuitively, this is the right choice.
Yeah.
It's intuitive. I've been in. So simple video, trim and merge. Is that the website?
It's an app.
It's an app. Okay. So
it's a Windows app for your computer.
Oh, okay.
if you use Windows. I don't know if you use Mac.
I use Windows.
Okay, yeah. So it's just in the App Store.
Okay. And then is the Cool Tools, is that an app also?
That's also an app. Yep.
Okay.
And then the OBS Studios you download online.
Okay. I've had a few others, but I've struggled with video editing. So I will check those.
YouTube is good. If you have a YouTube channel,
Yeah.
you can upload it to YouTube as unlisted or private, edit it, and then download it.
Yeah, you'll have to show me how you use the editor, because they've changed a few things and I've gotten kind of stuck on there. So yeah, we'll have to do that. My daughter's calling me, so I'm gonna go use the bathroom and then talk to my daughter. But okay,
I'm excited. I think we have a lot we can share with each other. So
we do, and we still have time. So next week I'm gonna we've got time to work out the technical stuff. And then there's other people that are jumping in that want to play now.
Great. So that's a great sign. The momentum's building.
Right.